midnight meetings
We're not gonna be staying that late.
till 9.
We're not gonna be staying till 9.
I hope not. Fabulous. I'm gonna
I
take
mean,
you-
what I'm
I'm
saying
gonna take you
is,
at your word, because when
what
9
I'm
o'clock
saying
hits,
is-
I'm gonna be making a motion to recess.
I mean, that's fine, but I don't see anything on the agenda that would take that long. But I'm saying, it's up to the chair, it's not up to an individual member of council when we quit.
Actually, no, we can make that motion and we can decide.
I mean, you can. But
we-
right now, we don't have that. Let's get on with it.
Do we have a motion to amend the agenda? And do we have a second to the motion to amend the agenda, strike out other business and make it 18A, Chaplain, B, personal property tax, C, Facebook, and
I have it checked in
D.
Facebook, personal property, and then for you.
As long as it's general agreement, I don't think we need to vote.
those four things. Is there a general agreement, or does anybody have any discussion or issues with it?
That's fine. Nope, I would make the motion to approve the consent calendar with the amendments to the agenda.
So, second.
Okay, any more discussion? We have a roll call vote to approve the consent calendar with the amended things to the agenda.
Hawthorne,
Yes.
Hall,
Yeah.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Okay, and it is amended, and it is approved. Let's go to the next item is reports. Would the police department like to give a report? Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. Y'all should have a copy, I think I provided one, hopefully it's in your packet. Did y'all get a copy of it?
Yes.
Our copy and a copy, I've not found it just yet.
Well, welcome, you council member, good luck.
I'm here.
So it's business as usual this past month, we received pass-through evidence lockers that we've been talking about for a while to house temporary evidence in the police department. And we'll be working to try to secure, some labor to be able to do that for us back in the old police department. IT Connects, which is the IT provider we were dealing with, on the, grant that we got, was here this past week. And what they've done is, they've been working to ensure software and technology is up to date and secure. The work they've completed this year, with the exception of one day's service, has been completely grant funded. We secured payment for additional equipment, installation, and maintenance. To date, they have installed firewall, and that wasn't only for police department, that was for the entire town, so it protects the FMS, the financial management records, as well as the records management for the police department. They installed 3 laptops and Cradle Points and 3 police vehicles, multi-factor identification for police department phones, and secure Wi-Fi networks at Town Hall. They also installed a laptop and scanner, purchased with grant funds for use in the evidence room. They'll be returning to complete UO enrollment for all PCs and MDTs and mobile data terminal for the police cars, to maintain federal compliance. They'll be evaluating and updating the server as needed. As I understand it, the life expectancy on the servers, I've been told, is 10 years, and we're not sure how old our server is here. They're concerned that there may be some major issues going on there, so they're gonna work through that and give us advice on where we need to go. As soon as I hear something, I'll report back to y'all on that, so you can make a decision. Reinstalling RMS on the records management system on the evidence room laptop, and installing Threat Down Elite for antivirus, malware protection, and patch management to keep all computers and servers protected from and updated regularly. Did just get a contract from Southern Software for the 26-27 year, 25-26 fiscal year. One of the recommendations in that was that we are backing up our data at least once a week. I honestly don't know if that's being done. There's a training that Southern Software offers that they can show us how to do that. In the event, as it stands currently, if we lose our data, there's very little that Southern can do to assist us in retrieving that data. So that's something, just to put you all on notice, we need to have some discussions about at a later time when I get more familiar with it. I'm sure the front office has some information on that as well. So when they get back to connecting the MDTs, which are in the police cars, to the printers inside the town hall through the VPN, and completing work is needed to ensure consistent, secure network at the town hall for all business and police records. Now, if y'all, usually I tell you, if you have any questions, ask me. If you ask me any questions about what I just read to you, I'm not gonna be able to answer them because I'm not that computer savvy,
It's
okay?
okay, I can.
Okay, good.
So I am gonna share this email with regard to, the recommendations from iConnex, because it does affect the front office as well. The MDT, do you know what it is?
The MDT, global data term.
Close enough. That'll work.
Is that acceptable?
So I got it as a Microsoft Data Treatment Kit.
Okay.
But either way, so we did have a crash of the server, about a year ago. Am I right there, Doris? Maybe a little bit more, yes. And, you know, I'm fully of the notion and would make the motion that we do allow IT Connects to come in and evaluate our systems. There are things, there are computers that were there at one point that are no longer there. There are some older computers there, and when I spoke with Jay from IT Connects, we talked about the fact that there's no antivirus. We do have viruses there. He does have them isolated, but we do need to invest in an antivirus that would not only isolate but remove those viruses. You know, through the course of, I know the chief's work, they do sometimes have to access the internet as well as we have to access the internet. And that was very evident going through the personal property tax process. Because we no longer have water and sewer to determine where these people are at. And we'll get more into that when we have the discussion about the personal property taxes. So I would make the motion that we bring IT Connects in here to evaluate the system and see if there's something that we're gonna have to do to upgrade it.
Is there a second to that motion?
I second.
Any discussion on it?
How much will it cost to bring in?
What was their hourly rate?
The, you know, I can't remember. I do know that this first round, I think they indicated that email is gonna take 16 man-hours. So they'll send two guys for 8 hours. If we're lucky, we'll get away with that. If not, you know, if they don't find any other problems, one more day they'll be finished. If they don't know what they're gonna run into.
Would the clerk and the manager agree that this is something that needs to be done?
Yes.
Seems like the three heads are all in agreement.
Is there any more discussion on this motion? We have a vote, a roll call vote.
Hawthorne,
Yes.
Hall,
I'm a tightwad, but I'm gonna say yes.
I'm sorry,
I'm a tightwad.
okay, yes. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
And all for the police chief's report.
Now, a little more, we just underwent a training audit for DCJS for the year 2023. Happy to report that everything came back clean, no issues. And I'd like to thank our partner Lexipol and assisting us with that. And just say that we couldn't keep all that straight out if it wasn't for Lexipol's valuable asset. The community should be seeing two newly hired officers soon. Unfortunately, there was some issues with some equipment that we couldn't get at A&A and Wise, so we had to go to Johnson City, order some stuff. It's taking a little bit longer than we hoped. And then one of the officers had to go back through a mandatory in-service training that's due every 2 years, 40-hour in-service training. So he just completed that. Hopefully you'll be seeing them out here soon. And Town Police Department responded to 174 calls for the year 2024. Looks forward to continuing to serve the community in 2025. Thank y'all for your time. I appreciate it. Any questions?
Thank you for your
Thank
report.
you.
Any discussion on the report? We'll move on to the fire department. Anyone here for the fire department, give a report?
We don't have anything I would bring forward.
Next one's the town manager. report?
So everything has been pretty well, business as usual, paying bills and taking care of everything like that. As has already been touched on, the IT department has been here and they were super helpful and and gave us a lot of information that we needed. We have been training Abby. She has been catching on quite well. Really wonderful to work with, a hardworking, girl. And then, there is it's a little bit later on the agenda and I'll go into a little bit more detail. But I would like to talk to council about, the possibility of purchasing a four-wheeler.
Okay, I think that is on the agenda, we will get to that. If you have, something you'd like to add to that, I'll let you speak on that. Next one, does anybody have anything from the EDA report?
EDA, we didn't have a meeting this month because of the weather, and we're still working on the insurance part. We have to get an engineer to come and look at the basement. Right now, we're on the pay, playing just like it was before. And we now have, let's see, the last time I paid with water bills, I will paying. The electric bill, they're automatically taking it out because they gave our deposit back. So, you know, we don't owe anything until we get the deposit already used up, it's $300 and some. So right now, we have $3,197.52 in our EDA account. And I need to appoint Karen Taylor. Can I do that now? Appoint her as a member of the EDA. Can I do that now? When do I do that? That's the way we can do it now.
Just make a motion.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to, appoint Karen Taylor as a member of the EDA.
Do we have a second for that?
I'll second that. Courtney,
What?
the list with the appointments on it, what time period do you have that? Helen?
Who's on it right now? Who's on the EDA?
Yeah, that's the list. Oh, gosh. We've got Courtney, I'm on it. The list, we used to have it, we printed out earlier, the planning commission members. Danny's on it. I think her last name is, but she's on it. Jimmy's on it, right? Jimmy's on it. I would ask that you bear with me. Yeah, me too. I'm on the list. Me and Jimmy, Bo, the town maintenance person, he's on it. I had not written down myself. And Laura Sturgill.
Who?
Laura Sturgill, she lives up on South Fork. Ed Sturgill's daughter. She does a lot with our heritage days and stuff, and she brings in a lot of the, people for selling. She sells stuff. I think she's Boning Country or something. She's always real helpful. So we've got about 5. Danny, Bo, me, Laura, and then we'll want Karen on there.
Okay, so she has a motion, and there's been a second. Can we have a vote on that, roll call? Oh, wait.
Is she here?
Her doctor's in the hospital.
Did she object?
No.
Is there anybody opposed?
She-
Can I do that? There's nobody opposed.
She was very.
Is there anybody opposed to
Karen
Karen
Taylor.
Taylor on the EDA? Okay. Planning Commission, it's next thing. Planning Commission, anybody have a report?
Planning
I think
Commission's
that's
not been able to meet for the last couple, 3 months, so we've not really, not met.
Okay. Audience comments? Any audience comments? Anybody want to step up to the platform and talk? Yes. Please state your name, your address, and whether you live inside out of the corporation limits.
Stacy Carson, I'm the former mayor here in the town of Towne. that I have had people that have been private messaging me, trying to get my information so certain other people could find out where I was. So with that, I'll leave it at that. But if anyone needs to contact me, I will share the information that would be needed. First, I want to say it is wonderful to see some newly elected members to the town of Pound. It's great that there was actually an election rather than appointed positions. Now, I know some people take offense to that, but I believe that the people should get to voice who is on the town of Pound. So I very much think the best of all three of you. And of course, the mayor, I'm so sorry. Where I should actually know that. But I would first like to say that I am not really representing myself, except that there has already been an issue that I want to make sure is cleared up. While I was, yes,
I was,
There's
3
a-
minutes.
3
Yes,
minutes,
Just,
yes.
I got you, you're good.
hopefully somebody will give me their 3 minutes.
Well,
Anyway, an issue that should be cleared up is about the police department and the fact that, the issue was back while I was mayor and Clifton Cawthorn was also, on council at that time, just so it makes it into the minutes clearly, that the police position would only be here, and it is not mandatory to still have. It was only needed until the evidence room was completely clear of all evidence and it was destroyed or sent to the Wise County. And a actual agreement was made, Clifton, if you remember, by Mr. Wilcox, that all evidence would be removed by, it was either June or July, and that his position then would be decided by the town council if it should go on. But in that time, he brought on another individual that I will bring up issues with here in a minute, that has not gone through the proper training and remains being a paid employee with no proper training and no experience. And I
With all
don't
due
think,
respect, Mayor, I'm gonna have to interrupt.
I
This is
do,
disorderly conduct.
I
I will give you
do.
an opportunity to
Chief
rule around.
Wilcox, I really don't think that's disorderly conduct. We need to let
This
her-
is
Okay,
freedom
as
of
soon as he
speech.
called out somebody individually,
This
then
is
she just
freedom
told a
of
lie
speech.
about me.
we have to let her continue.
Anyway, Clifton, you could go back, or Mayor, you could go back in the meeting minutes from when I was mayor and see how it was written up when Chief Wilcox's position was to be removed as the chief of police. As soon as the evidence room was completely cleared out and destroyed, and there was no longer any evidence. And then we were going to decide if Wise County would come in and do what our town police officers, who had already done.
excuse me, I thank you for your comments, but your time has expired.
Okay.
We can move on to the
You
next.
got my time, Steph.
You cannot.
I'm sorry.
If there's a speaker for a group, they still don't have to.
Yes, we thank you for your comments, and we'll ask you to step down.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else from the audience who'd like to speak? Please state your name and whether you live inside or outside the corporation.
Angela Barnett, 11529 Mead Fork Road, Pound, Virginia, and I am not in the corporation limits. I would just like to make a suggestion. I would like to see a second comment section implemented into the agenda at the end of the, after other business and before meetings are adjourned in the future. Having a audience comment early on in the meeting does not give an opportunity for somebody to make a comment that they would like to make that has happened during the meeting. So I would like to I would like for y'all to consider having another comment section before adjournment in future meetings.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else from the audience step up and give their, give any comments? If not, is there any discussion, do you allow discussion on audience comments?
If anybody wants.
Any discussion?
I'm in agreement. We've talked about that in the past, about having a comment at the end. If you so choose, then that would be something maybe to add to the agenda.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the grants. We'll start with the AMLER. Any updates?
We got all kinds of updates. So Amler, we do have some financial vetting that we have to go through for that grant. It has been awarded, but we have to go through that process before we see any money from that. The audits are a requirement of that, grant. And, you know, obviously audits are something we're gonna talk about on down in the process. Do you want me to run through these?
Go ahead. You're the council member. You want, I guess, run through them in that way.
Okay, so the monuments across Appalachian, Virginia, that one, the DEQ grant, at this point are hand in hand. The bank building is almost completely removed, thank heaven. And that's what's had the monuments grant kind of sitting there. We do have the advisory committee has some mock-up sketches of what the monument will be. And those should be put out to the public, I'm thinking next month. The ARC Ready grant has been applied for. What the ARC Ready grant is gonna do is allow for the intern to be paid at a $16 an hour rate. So getting her trained is primary on the list. VDM, they have done an amendment to our grant, and it has been sent for approval. Once we get approval for that, then the slope stabilization and retaining wall will be able to be put in for Church Street. There is a portion of the lower slope stabilization that's included in the DEQ grant. So once it's down, then that lower portion, McFall Excavating, I believe, is the ones that will come in and do the lower slope stabilization so that it's sitting there and we don't have problems in the meantime while we start getting the monuments grant in place. Bad Buildings has asked that they be allowed to come to February's meeting and do their presentation to council as well as any citizens that want to attend. What Bad Buildings, it stands for something. Tell me, Doris, what does it stand for? Something abandoned and dilapidated.
Something like that. Sure, we have so much stuff.
And DEQ is working in conjunction with that Bad Buildings program. That's being done through the West Virginia University because they are the ones that created that program. The BRIC grant. The BRIC grant is a technical assistance grant. FEMA will be here on Thursday. We have a group of people, FEMA people, people like Debbie Hill, people that have been active in some of these projects, App Voices, that will have a presentation with the FEMA people, and then we will be going out to look at various locations. On the list of locations is gonna be the riverbanks, Boggs Hollow, where the flooding there in that area is prevalent, getting the trees up out of the river, getting the trash up out of the river, looking for funding to do that. And also on the list is Phillips Creek and Cane Patch. May I request to suspend the rules and add one more grant? I would make that motion.
No objection.
It's okay. I second.
Is there no objection? Then we'll move forward. Go ahead.
All right, the last grant that, Brittany and I actually went to the Board of Supervisors, well, not the Board of Supervisors, the County Planning Commission. Oddly enough, some snafu that they did not give us a letter indicating that they would have a public hearing today at 5 o'clock for the Virginia Outdoors Foundation grant for the, primitive campsites for the property off the Red Fox Trail. That has now passed the Planning Commission for the county and will be going to the Board of Supervisors for their approval. We have already received that funding and it is in the Tourism Committee checking account at this point. CDAC is working with Debbie to come up with a plan for those campsites. That's where that one's at.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the grants list?
Give credit where credit's due, they're doing a good job on the grants.
Where would that be located?
Right off the Red Fox, you know where the Hunt Club is?
Yes.
So we have an easement for the C&O Railroad bed.
You do?
We do. Aren't we impressive?
Yeah.
And it's right off of that easement. It's 3.5 acres up there. It's gonna be primitive campsite, so it's not gonna be pull your camper in. It's bring your tent, bring your sleeping bag.
It's a hike-in thing.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
A parking lot somewhere.
Park on Pottertown Road or at the
Okay, that's,
top of the mountain
Okay.
and work your way down.
that's it. Primitive. That's the emphasis on primitive. Okay, all right, good.
Any other discussion on those grants? Okay, we move on to contractor tax. Discussion or motion?
Well, I make a motion that the town needs to get a fee. If any contractor comes in and works in the town, they need to get a fee for that. Because every town that I worked in had to get a permit from that town and from the county.
Speak to that, Attorney.
And I can tell you, I reviewed the, was it beat poll that we passed last July. Contractors are covered under a code section, which allows us to get gross receipts if they're cited businesses here. There is, I think, some nuances to that code because if they're being taxed in one area, they can't necessarily be taxed in another area. So it makes contractors almost in their own special class as it comes to, but we do have a licensing ordinance in effect that applies to contractors.
Even our contractor working on the bank building has a business license.
I know that.
But we can't stand out here and say, you got that business license? If we ask them, I will tell you that food vendors that come in here.
No, I'm talking about they need to get a permit from the town to work in town.
So you're talking about like a building permit?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I know. And the town's been letting this go for many years. When Wise, Coburn, everywhere else ain't the building, has been getting money from us when we come into town. And the bill inspector, we have to go to the county to get a permit to do the job.
I believe at one point there was a building permit that was required. There's not one in the books, I'm thinking there is.
I don't know, maybe the attorney could draw up something for
Is
next
that-
month.
Yeah, if we
And,
are, if the council is interested in passing some type of ordinance to that effect, I can certainly do some research.
I mean, that would
Get
help,
the ball rolling.
that would help the town when they come into work.
Absolutely, yes.
Tear down, build back, whatever.
You know, a lot of the problem here, and I think most people don't realize it, is our ordinances, the good majority of them were written by Kenneth Asbury.
Yeah.
How long has Kenneth Asbury been dead?
Oh,
No disrespect to him.
Yeah,
And we have,
but the town has failed that because they need to keep up with codes too.
we have started updating those ordinances, so we can't do them all at one time. Poor Kevin would never get to go home.
You're my only client, come on.
He can do it. I got confidence in him.
Yeah, I think,
We-
Or fee.
We have some that we've updated. The big poll that Kevin mentioned.
But I'm just looking at
is one
the
of-
town. You need to get money for this.
Mhm.
And that would help the town, whatever we do.
So what Kevin will do is he'll come up with an ordinance or whatever we need for next month and get with them, make sure it meets his approval.
But it doesn't do any good if we don't put consequences in it. If they don't
Well,
get it,
that's what I'm saying.
they gotta have consequences, so teeth, Kevin.
They
they're
always
right.
bring us a written,
What is
written
it?
statement to say, we're shutting you down. That's what they'd always do. And then, sometimes I still didn't listen.
Okay, well, that's good, we have, attorney will get with you about that.
And if we
And,
just wanna table that maybe till next
Yeah.
month, and then we can
I
revisit.
move we table it till next month.
Second,
I'll second.
is anybody in objection? So then it passes. Okay, next thing, drug testing. Do we have discussion or motion on drug testing?
Oh, I say yes.
Okay,
I
so you
make
wanna
a
make a
motion.
motion
Yes,
to, make a motion to,
drug test all employees.
okay?
So, if I may, there will be some constitutional requirements that the town will have to meet, since they're a government. And the way the law is basically written, this is Fourth Amendment law. So anytime a government conducts a search or seizure of a person, they have to have certain grounds that they meet. In the case of law enforcement officers, often it's probable cause. In the case of a town, for example, or a municipality or a county, if they wish to drug test employees, it's really confined to certain classifications of employees. Employees, for example, who are commandeering a vehicle, or employees who are engaged in a profession which would be dangerous, basically, if they were under the influence of drugs. So I do think that, I don't disagree with your motion for legal grounds. I'm not trying to say that at all. I do think we need to be specific. I think we need to be specific in terms of which kind of employees we're testing, just to make sure we don't run afoul of any Fourth Amendment.
Can I address that before we proceed?
Go ahead.
So, drug testing is something that we do when an employee is hired. In time, we did have an employee who had an accident.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and he was drug tested. It is in the employee handbook, which is sadly lacking, for random drug testing.
Well, that needs to be done. Random drug.
I think if there's a need to do it, then you do it. Like I said, when the gentleman had his accident, he was drug tested then. And that was to ensure that there wasn't something there that created the issue.
So we have a motion, we'll have any more discussion, do we have a second? Just because we don't have a second, it's not gonna go through, do we have a second for the motion?
Maybe the attorney needs to do a little more research.
I would suggest in terms of the employee handbook, we should probably dig into that as a council maybe next month and look and see if there's things that we want to specifically change. My concern is that, let's say you drug test an employee and you don't have certain grounds for it, you just do across the board random drug testing, they might have a lawsuit against the town for violation of Fourth Amendment, and a court would take that case, and what they would do is they would say, what's the privacy interest at stake here? What's the interest of the locality, and is that interest compelling enough to invade the privacy of the individual? If you're just saying, well, they're an employee, we can test them, it might not be a compelling enough interest, but in the case of like somebody having an accident, absolutely that would be a compelling interest. But that's something we can address perhaps through the handbook on a case-by-case basis.
I
Yeah,
don't
we
see
can-
coming in and drug testing across the board though as random. That to me doesn't qualify as random. Random to me is, we come in today and say, Kevin, gotta send you for a random drug test today. That's random.
And the issue with random is that it's almost inherently without reason by its nature, which courts would be a little skeptical on. If it was not employees, again, employees who are like commandeering a vehicle or doing something which if they are high, that's dangerous, that's a public safety issue, they can certainly be drug tested at random. But employees who, are not engaged in anything that would be otherwise dangerous, or there's no suspicion, there's no reason to do it, I think there's some concern there.
So to fix that, I would amend your motion to say we will table that until next month's meeting. Everybody will get a copy of the employee handbook, and that's something we can delve into in the next meeting.
Can I ask if anybody knows approximate cost?
I don't, we did try to set up an account with MCHC, and I don't think we've ever received even a bill for the one that we had done. That could come down the line. But no, the lady that was in charge of setting up those accounts never did call back, and it doesn't take much to squirrel us sometimes.
I can just see, a drug test running $50 to $100, or more, who's to say? So if you're tight,
Well, some things you can't be tied on.
Yeah, and
Well,
that's
let me tell
something,
you, if somebody falls or gets hurt and they employed by the town, what are you gonna pay?
that's something we can certainly check into the cost as
Well,
well.
I believe in being safe.
Let's go, we'll look in the handbook next month, and we'll table it for this month, and then we'll let our attorney look into it,
good.
and see what we can do about drug testing in the future. Do I have a motion to table it?
So
I
moved.
made the motion to table.
Second.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we'll just go forward with it. Next item is elected officials as paid employees.
This is something that I've mentioned before, and I think there's a conflict of interest between those who are politicians, who are elected, and those who are paid employees of the town. And so I was gonna consult with the attorney and see whether or not it would be legal if we were to pass ordinance, I guess, stating that no one who is an elected official can be a paid employee of the town.
Well, you do have code sections in the Virginia Code dealing with conflicts of interest. For example, let's say, Gary's a contractor, he says, oh, I'll fix this building for you for $50,000. That would obviously be a conflict, that would be a conflict of interest. Any sort of contract that an employee may enter into, is also, could potentially be a conflict of interest, but I think we're circulating here an email as well from VML, some research we conducted as well. In terms of basically administrative heads of government, council members, to what extent they are employees, to what extent that their service as an administrative head of government could be raised as a conflict of interest. I think that for the best practices legally, you want to have your council members be council members and your employees be employees. I think in a small town that could be difficult in cases when things need to get done, administrative things need to get done, there's no one to fill that position. But, I mean, that's my legal opinion, is I think there is already code sections in the Virginia Code. If the council so wishes to adopt an ordinance incorporating those code sections, it's legally unnecessary, but it could be informative. A succinct, concise description for all council members now, present, and future, to read. I think that would not necessarily be a bad idea.
So I guess what I'm saying is, if I made a motion to bar elected officials from serving as town employees moving forward in the future, which we haven't done right now, is that something I could make?
It is, you would have to specify with the code section that I'm thinking of. I can get that code section for you if you like.
Okay.
Because it does draw a few exceptions. For example, compensation under $5,000 in a town, I think of 10,000 or less. There's no conflict of interest if it's a contract for employment for that. Not gonna likely find many contracts like that. And another carve out is if they were employed prior to becoming.
But see, I see, for instance, Brittany as being just a manager and not a mayor, as being liberating for her. Because she's no longer a political figure. She works for everybody in the town. There weren't people voted for her as manager or against her as manager. And so we've had this before, this mayor, manager, sort of a conglomeration, council members, and just to have a hard, fast rule stating that someone who's elected official cannot be an employee, a paid employee of the town. Is that something?
Not per our charter.
Well, I mean, the charter does not say that they can't or can, but if we
The
pass the
charter
ordinance.
says that they can be appointed to more than one position as long as the council member is not mayor.
And I will tell you, Mr. Crawford, my only concern is running afoul of Dillon's rule, making sure there is statutory authority to do such an
Well, if you
ordinance.
could check into that for next
But
month.
I'm happy to check into that. That's why typically when we do an ordinance, we track the statute, is because in Virginia, the legislature likes to tell towns, here's what you can do, everything else, unless it's necessary, problems off limits. So I'll
So
certainly
just
look
table
into
it for this month and see if, because it may not be the pleasure of council to pass something like that, but if it's possible to pass something, I think that'd be helpful for the town moving forward.
And just to be clear, your exact request is to bar all
elected
all elected
officials
officials
from being paid employees of the town.
yeah,
It doesn't mean someone couldn't be like clerk treasurer,
right.
but it would mean someone cannot be a council member and a clerk, for instance. Or whatever.
We're in a different climate, you know, we kind of are, I would like to say a breed of our own. Can we turn those off? I don't
Yeah,
know,
they're
it's
killing
driving me crazy.
Interrogation.
And you help me see.
I don't necessarily want to say a breed of our own because we are not. So what I have found is that more and more in small communities, council members are taking up more responsibility. We're not the only ones. There have been a lot of communities that have reached out in the last couple of years and said, how are you doing these A, B, C, and X, Y, Z? We're not unique, unfortunately.
But anyway, that may be something the council would wanna do, something the council wouldn't wanna do. But it's something I believe in, is that elected officials should not be paid employees of the town. Nope.
Wow.
That's, so next month we'll have something.
So there was no motion,
No.
we just tabled the idea till next
Next month's.
month's meeting. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is live broadcasting of meetings, discussion or,
Yeah, during COVID, we had the live broadcasting of our meetings, and so obviously we have the equipment somewhere. So I make a motion that we broadcast our meetings live on Facebook each month. That's my motion.
okay, do we have a second to the motion?
I say,
Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, the reason that was stopped is at the advice of VML and one of the attorneys with VML due to the back and forth that it created on Facebook. I'm not opposed to, you know, we have a .gov website now. You know, we have a lot of things going on, so if somebody has technical skills that they want to provide, it's appreciated. I'm not opposed to putting them on a .gov website, but because of the back and forth that it creates, and at the risk of being unpolitically correct, the drama it creates, because there are some people that thrive on the drama.
I would not be opposed to having it on the website, as long as it was live broadcast. So I know that other communities have these meetings on the
I don't know,
website.
I don't know if it can be live broadcast on the website, but I would certainly check that out, but I'm highly opposed to putting them on Facebook.
And so just to clarify, VML's concern was with the comments that were going on?
The back and forth and,
Because I believe you probably, maybe through YouTube or something, you would be able to stream
Yeah,
something with
YouTube would be
comments
good.
turned off.
Yeah.
I think that might fix that issue, as long as people couldn't, I guess, you know, create drama, create issues,
yeah,
as the live stream is occurring.
yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
Educate me, VML,
Virginia Municipal League.
didn't know that term.
The resident experts when it comes to anything.
They are,
Above you?
their philosophy is the less evidence you have in case you get sued, the better. And
Again,
so if you have everything recorded in a meeting, then you don't go to the minutes for what happened in the meeting, because the minutes, as long as you approve them, you can create what happened.
Right.
But if you have a recording, then you can actually hold people accountable. So maybe the manager, Brittany, could look into that, getting it live broadcast on our website or on YouTube. That'd be good.
Yeah, I don't know what equipment we had previously. I can recall use of some equipment for Zoom. That'd be something we definitely have to go on a treasure hunt for,
We
Brittany.
do have that tablet that I remember turning in,
There are tablets here,
so you can
yes.
do it with a tablet,
Uh-huh.
you know, pretty simply. Maybe figure that out, Brittany, and bring us a report next month.
I'm assuming there would be costs incurred on that too.
Not necessarily.
No,
YouTube wouldn't be a cost?
it's free.
It's free, yeah.
That's my kind of day.
So that's all, she's gonna take care of that for next month.
We are very much the people that will squeeze the buffalo nickel until the buffalo cries.
I'm
Okay.
with you.
And I think our bank balance shows that, yeah.
Next item on the agenda is street/sidewalk repairs. Discuss and motion.
I make a motion that something gotta be done with the streets and the sidewalks.
Okay.
And what do you want
What,
that to
yes?
be?
What?
Well, the town used to keep the streets and sidewalks safe. And evidently, the town has plumb quit everything except putting in a park or putting a statue in. That's a bunch of bull. The town people spoke, and they want things done in this town. Right where we live, Lyndon. How many potholes we got? It don't affect me, cause I miss that.
Potholes are VDOT.
What? No,
Potholes are VDOT.
it's in town.
Doesn't matter,
It's a sub-street.
the town doesn't own any roads.
Well, the town ought to get onto the state.
Could the town fix that?
You all just
Could
let
the town,
everything go, that's the problem.
could the town
We
talk to VDOT?
Ye are.
There's a process on VDOT's website where you can actually report those potholes.
Okay.
Now,
Well, what about the sidewalk?
Mr. Jimmy Taylor has gone out and fixed some of those of his own accord. But, you know, Jimmy's one of those people that lives on a fixed income, and I'm sure he can't afford to go out and fix every pothole that's there either. And we have, the one up on
And now also, I can tell you,
the
the
county.
state owns the road. Through the town, they have to maintain it. The town don't. Now, that's the way it goes. Then, about the sidewalks. All the state is required for is the drainage, and that's it. They ain't required to fix no, what you call it, they will not do it. I've asked a bunch of the guys, and I used to work for the state. And I know just about as much as them what they are, and they won't do nothing for me and stuff. It's just like my road right now, down through there. I begged them, I said, don't put that sidewalk in there. He went ahead and did it. Let all the water come off, tore my driveway out of pieces. I didn't do nothing about it, because you can't fight the state. Because they got more lawyers than you can spend all the money you got in the world.
So there are grants that we can get to do the sidewalks. You're looking a few years out to get anything done with it. Those are things that we have looked at, and there's no statute going up out here, just FYI. Each grant has a specific purpose. It has to be used for that purpose. You're looking at a community that was advised by the Assistant Attorney General that we would get no more grants. We have grants. So, you know, we're working the process. But the more grants you get, the more people it takes to administrate those grants, and the more manpower it takes. And some of those grants that we've been turned down on, we've only been turned down on a few, is capacity. Do you understand what I mean when I say capacity?
Well, explain it to me.
Capacity is the number of people you got working.
Well, why don't you get people that's out here to help?
You gotta
work
pay
these
the
streets?
people.
Well, I know that, you got one man, and that's both. Why can't we do them instead of, you don't have anybody else to employ? Just,
I guess,
that's what
how
I'm
about
looking at.
grants for sidewalks? Maybe we could get our, because the roads are VDOT. I mean, that's, you know, you have to wrestle with them. But the sidewalks would be a great grant. So
It
maybe
would.
the manager
It
could look
would.
into,
Because the county.
you know, grants for sidewalks
Reporting.
and bring us a report next month.
I don't know that we can find one that quickly for the sidewalks. I know VDOT, you know, there was a grant that the town had to finish putting those pretty little standalone, street lights down on Main Street. So when I talked to VDOT, I was advised that one of the former mayors was told that all he had to do was get the paperwork in, and the paperwork never came in. If the paperwork doesn't come in, then what happens is they redistribute that money elsewhere. So there was money there for those lights that
Yeah.
we never got because the process wasn't
I've
followed
seen the
through.
holes.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's not to say we can't have them now.
Right.
You know, everybody has told me from the get-go, Living, you gotta take baby steps. I'm okay with baby steps. My baby just gotta move a little bit faster. So the fact that we're sitting here, and this is not all of our grants, 8, including the VOF, we've just, applied for a Thriving Communities grant. At Voices has also the grant for the Riverwalk project, which was a project that was started in 2001.
2001.
And my understanding was funding was applied for one time, and it was kind of, oh, we didn't get the money, oh well, and it just did nothing. But the fact that the PSA is working on getting the sewage lines out of the riverbank is gonna facilitate the ability to put in that river walk. And it's through a grant that At Voices is applying for and administering. If they're administering it, it's not a problem. They got more manpower than we do. It's when we get the multiples on top of us and trying to administer all those grants that it runs into a problem in trying to keep up with them. As long as we've got help. Now, there are agencies out there that will apply for and administer the grants and build a fee in for themselves. And, you know, I'm not opposed to finding some of those agencies to try and expedite things like sidewalks and such. But now my understanding of the sidewalk grant is it's run through VDOT, and we could administer itself, but then you're talking about everything falls to us to do it, and we don't have the manpower. Or you can wait on VDOT to administer it, and they provide the manpower, but you're looking at years down the road. WISE has been going through that last couple of years.
What about,
You familiar with that?
Yeah, it's, what, 7 or 8 years or so?
Yeah.
what about the jail?
What
You
about
can get hit from the jail, then our inmates,
to put in sidewalks?
they'll do whatever.
Are you talking about the prison or the
The jail, Duffield jail,
Duffield jail?
cause we got them many times.
You still gotta have the money.
Let me tell you one more thing about convicts. They will not work a gun gang any place it's houses or inside.
These are, that's not the gun gangs. No.
Well, that's on the thing, they
Let's-
won't let them
Let's
prisoners
move
out.
on.
So you're gonna look into that, Brittany, sidewalk grants?
Yes.
Okay.
Sidewalk
So we
grant.
can
She's
talk
again.
about sidewalks.
You can get help from the jail. What you do, you go down there and pick them up. And I tell you, I worked some of them, I know. They're not hoodlums, Jimmy. They're not killers. They're not rapists. They're workers.
Where?
Let's move on.
Can't
to
they
the next-
team?
Let's move on.
Does Jimmy have to follow procedure, or does he just get to talk
Yeah,
and
I'm-
have wants to?
We're moving on.
Just sit down back
Yeah,
there.
we're,
You'll be all right.
okay.
Keep
Yes.
the audience
Yes.
comments down, please.
Yes.
But McDonald's and them all harm them people.
We're gonna move on. We will look into that, grants on that. The next thing is audits. Any discussion
Used to have trustees.
or,
So any updates on the audits?
The pre-auditor
Which
is,
I guess would be the clerk, right?
no, that would fall under the treasurer.
And the treasurer.
Yeah, so the pre-auditor and the auditor are in contact with one another, trying to set up the time to get that done. When I reached out to David Cox for an update, he was becoming grandpa and unable to tell me at the time, so that's kind of where we're at.
And our last audit we've had completed is what?
What was the last one that was done when you were here? Was it 16, 18? It's been a while.
It's been a while.
16, 18?
It's a long
Whatever the
time.
last one was when you were here.
It was
I mean,
behind. I mean, we
Yeah,
had
it was-
clerk
it was
after clerk
quite
after clerk who could not seem to.
Yeah, I can tell you that I don't think we can go all the way back.
No,
We can't find everything.
Right, right.
There's no
So-
reason.
yes.
So when I came in, we were getting a notice from the IRS saying that we had a credit of $25,000. Well, I'm thinking, I want our $25,000.
Yeah.
And and it took months to get a hold of them. When I finally got a hold of the IRS, not only did we not have a $25,000 credit, we owed an additional $25,000 because 941 quarterly reports state withholding, VEC, none of those reports have been done. And in most cases, they weren't paid.
So we're working on what, 22, 23 right now?
We are working to do 22, 23, and 23, 24. And there's also a grant that, that's been applied for that will provide some funding to get those done. I think that was the Thriving Communities Grant, but we haven't heard back on that one yet.
Next item on the agenda is four-wheeler / snowblade. I heard the manager would bring something up about this.
So something that I wanted to propose to council to consider, as we said earlier, there was an incident where a town truck was, totaled, and we did receive roughly $20,000 back on that truck. Through all this snow, we've had several calls with people needing help with their driveways, private drives, things like that. And, so I called around and got some prices on, I mean, it could be a service that the town could offer and charge for to be able to clean people's driveways, parking lots, private roadways. I do have, I talked to YPK up here on the 4-lane, I talked to Extreme Power Sports in Pikeville, and Planet Power Sports over in Richlands. It's kind of across the board what it, at YPK, they recommended, they had an Outlander. I don't know much about ATVs as far as what kind of power that you need, so I asked them for their recommendation. They have a Can-Am Outlander 700 with a winch, for $92.99, roughly $10,000. And then the blade, they do have two options for a blade. They have a heavy-duty blade, they have a regular blade. They recommended the regular blade in case you have any kind of, or I mean, not the regular, the heavy-duty blade in case you have any kind of incline. They do charge $750 to place that, like give you the kit and apply it and everything. That blade would be removable in the event that the town wanted to use it for some other purpose, whatever might need to be done. They also, I mean, they have other options as well that we can look into, cheaper options, or side-by-sides. That's just what they recommended. Extreme Power Sports had a $9,000 side-by-side with a dump bed and a winch already on it. And then Planet Power Sports recommended, theirs was a little bit more expensive, recommended a side-by-side with a dump bed, winch. That was $10,900, but their plow was quite expensive. It was $3,500. They also had other options. They said that they had other brands that were cheaper, as well as the other ones. Again, I just asked for their recommendation, and I can get those lower prices as well for you. It's just something that I thought the town might consider as a viable option as a service to provide for citizens that we could, possibly charge a fee for.
Do we have a motion on the information?
Can I speak?
Sure.
I think we need a truck with a blade on it.
We already have a blade for a truck.
Well,
So-
we need a truck.
So we have a truck. So here's the problem.
Four-wheel drive?
As of right now, yes. So the 250 that we have can be fitted with the
Blade?
mounts for
And
that blade.
Yeah.
Right, we got a second-hand blade, but the blade is large, and that will help in cases when you're dealing with a parking lot, parking spaces out in town, but it may be too large for a narrow driveway. Does that make sense? I like the option of the dump bed on it, because that's something that Bo could use as well. And, it's something that could be used in town for various things.
Would we,
We're waiting on the mounts for the blade that we have, and we got a phenomenal
How
deal.
big is the blade?
That's an
Seven?
8-foot, it's an 8-foot blade
8
or
foot.
bigger, it's a whopper.
Yeah.
It's right out here, out back.
Well, I'm for that. I'm not for no four-wheeler.
Well, that will work in most cases, but you do have those people, and if it's gonna be a service you're gonna provide to residents to clear their
What
driveway.
about if you all,
Not
whoever
all.
runs it tears something up in that driveway?
Well, that's my point. So if you're using
I
a
mean, with the
large
four-wheeler
road,
too.
No, you know, if they're calling and asking for the service, they have to sign off. There will be some kind of agreement they would have to sign off on.
So do we have a motion that's
I'm for the
presented?
truck, not no four-wheel.
We have the truck.
So we have a truck, it's got four-wheel drive, and you get the mounts for the blades. But the four-wheeler would be for more narrow
With the
driveways.
driveways.
Yes.
And I can tell you about driveways.
Yeah, I mean, I've got one too.
You know, a truck,
I had a truck with a blade on it, and I didn't have any problem.
I've had.
Do
Did you
the
go
driveways
to the
in
narrow
my
driveways to
Yeah,
clean
with
them?
driveways and everything. You gotta be careful.
I think that, the one thing about this is it's probably a venture that in the end, the town would come out on the bottom end financially. As usually happens whenever the government gets involved in something like this.
I don't know, because I know when I get something, this is, I'm talking about me, hate doing that, but anyway, we pay for every time that somebody comes and does ours, and it's not cheap. If you get somebody to come and shovel it off, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
You get somebody to come with a four-wheeler, hopefully somebody will come that is okay, and they say, that's okay. It's $200 or $300 when you get them. I've gotten a guy with a skidster out of Wise, which I don't get anymore. Very expensive, so you'd get a lot of money back, but
And if that was the sole purpose, yeah, we probably would come out on the worst end of things. But if we're looking at doing something that has a dump bed on it, then, you know, that would make it easy for Bo to take a side-by-side out here to get branches up out of the roadway.
I think the question
It
is,
just pack a wheelbarrow load, side-by-side wheel,
I think
that's all it packs.
the question is, do we wanna get into the snow removal business
We're already
on
there.
roads,
We're already there.
on the parking lot here? I mean,
I
Thank
might add,
you for the parking lot.
I came and scraped this little parking lot. This is a huge parking lot with a
Mhm.
four-wheeler. It took hours.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
It's like a cat eating a grindstone, as my daddy used to say.
Yeah.
And, you would not see Bo from daylight till dark.
Yeah.
And, you said, that's all he got done? Now, I had 8-inch snow.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
I can agree with that.
That's the reason you need a truck.
Well, we've got the track, I mean, that's not,
Well,
that's
I'm
not
doing for
an
that.
issue. The only concern is those more narrow driveways that we might tear up with a big
So,
blade
stay off of.
versus smaller.
so Brittany is gonna get more information, is that what
I
it is
can,
for next
yeah, I
month?
can get, you know, the prices of the other, if you want those, or,
But what are you wanting from the council?
I just thought that might be something that would be of interest to council, but if it's not, you know.
I'd say table it and we'll see what the public has to say about it.
We have a motion to table it. Does anybody disagree
Till next
with that? Till next month. Okay, it's tabled. Okay, USPS discussion or motion?
That would be a motion. So I'm making a motion that the town provide a letter to Senator Warner's office in support of Senator Warner looking into this postal service issue that we had for the postmaster sending packages back.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, do we have any discussion?
So
Senator
that
Kane?
comes out of a phone call that, well, it comes out of a complaint that was sent to Warner, Kane, and Griffith regarding the problems with the postmaster. And Warner's office called back and said, you know, we can do something with this, but we would like to have a letter from the town indicating that they want to see something done and they're supporting this. That's what it comes out of.
Any more discussion? We have a motion and a second.
Will you send out that letter to us? Will you send it?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Can I ask, is any other towns around us have that same issue?
No.
Okay.
Not as bad. Some of their Christmas stuff didn't even get in until, and some of it was sent back, then it was for grandkids and great-grandkids. They never got it
I
till.
feel like I heard rumblings of that somewhere up in Dixon
Yeah.
County, but I wasn't for sure.
Yeah, it
If other small towns have had the same issue.
did bad. I don't think Clintwood is,
Or Hayside.
Yeah, well, maybe our evil postmaster is traveling to Hayside or Clinchco, I don't know.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Okay, do we have a roll call vote on that motion, please?
Hawthorne,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Okay, the motion is passed. The next item is the Michael Clark account.
So on that one, I kind of want to tell you what's going on. There's more information that needs to be gotten. So in the process of sending out property taxes, we also sent out late notices. To my knowledge, late notices have never been sent out on real estate, but we got a lot of it sitting there that we're going to have to confirm in order to send its tax. Council previously did vote to go ahead and send delinquent accounts to tax. But it's not been done yet, but we gotta verify them first. So in the process of that, and this is not the only account with problems, I'm sure some will come up with regards to the personal property, shortly. But this is an account, when I spoke with Mr. Clark, he said that the property was property he had bought on a tax sale. In a tax sale, the past due taxes are supposed to be abated, because the idea there is they've sold the property to somebody new and they will pay their taxes going forward. So anything that's outstanding is done away with. In this case, Mr. Clark told me that he purchased the property in 2018. The tax ticket goes from 2002 to 2017. He said it was tax sale. When I reached out to the county says, no, it's a traditional sale. Mr. Clark in turn sold the property in 2022. So generally, the taxes will follow the property. I don't know if we can find any closing information, if there's traditional sales, is that something that's?
I mean, you can find the deed and that's about it, you know.
That's about it.
Deed of record, which that could include some information, something.
Well, that was my next effort, to get copies of the deeds there.
Especially if there's like a deed of trust on it or something. as well.
Right, and if it's a tax sale, those do have a special deed. You know, the new property owner is not gonna be a happy camper at this point, so we would have no way of knowing if it was discussed or dealt with in closing, if it's not a tax sale, correct?
Where's the location of the property?
North River Road. It's just right down here. We're talking about $3,200. I'm not gonna lie, I don't wanna let go of $3,200 if I can find a way not to let go of $3,200.
So someone bought the property, and the thought is they didn't get the back taxes insurance or whatever you get, or they didn't check into it to make sure it was free and clear and.
If it was a traditional sale, the problem would fall to a prior clerk treasurer. And depending on the time frame, it could have been one of two clerk treasurers that did not set the taxes to follow the property. I don't imagine the new property owner is gonna be happy
Right.
with that, but at the same time, it's not the property owner's. And if it was something that our clerk treasurer did not do, then it's our fault.
So what do we need to do tonight? You just make us aware of this?
I'm just making you aware of it because I do wanna go back and get those deeds.
Okay.
See what the deeds say.
Okay. Is that all discussion? Next item on the agenda is disincorporation. Do we have a discussion or motion?
My motion would be to move to have our attorney contact and meet with the county attorney for the purpose of obtaining an agreement whereby the town of Pound can dissolve its charter.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion?
I second the motion.
Do we have any discussion?
This is not moving toward disincorporation. It is simply seeing what the county would offer us if we were to go down that road. And so this is just our attorney, meeting with the county attorney, saying this is the deal that you would get if you chose to dissolve the charter. And then at that point, we can look at it and see whether or not we want to continue with an ordinance, put it on the ballot.
And I would like to take this opportunity just to advise council and citizens of the law governing the situation. In order to disincorporate, you have to first reach an agreement with the county. That agreement is only the first step. The next step is then you have to vote to actually accept that agreement. Then you have to petition the circuit court to put that up to a referendum for the entire, everybody who lives in the corporation limits of the town. So I just want to make sure everybody's apprised that there are several steps to this process, and the agreement is the first step. It certainly, I mean, it is a step towards this incorporation in that respect, but then there would be subsequent votes to follow, should there be an agreement that the county's willing to accept.
This is putting your big toe in the water to see how the water feels. And if it feels good, we go with it. If it doesn't, we pull back. I think the last election was very clear. People want the opportunity to discuss and vote on this.
And everybody should have a few pages of chapter 37, which is the Virginia Code section on how to annul a charter, basically, from the Townsville motion. I did put a copy on the table back there too, if anybody wants.
Is there any more discussion?
I would make a substitute motion at this point to table that until January of 2026.
There's a substitute motion. Do we have a second to the substitute motion?
A second.
A second. Any discussion on the substitute motion?
I think that it's a pity that the people of the town who spoke very clearly in the last election, where two candidates ran on that one issue, and I think 60-some votes I won by over the next one, which was Lyndon, who took no position on the issue. And then he was also behind me, but he also was on that ticket. Let the people vote. Let's have democracy in this town. Everybody talks about democracy. Let the people decide whether they want to keep paying taxes or not. That's my position on it.
And they spoke, when I was up there to pose, they spoke.
Get it done. That's what they're telling you. Get it done. Get it done.
So my feeling on that is you have two new council members in here that have never sat on the council.
True.
And I think at this point, they need to get their feet wet. You know, I'm 3 years down the road and I learn something new every day. Day doesn't go by that I don't learn something new. I don't think they are informed enough at this point as to the processes and understand what it means. I don't think it needs to go forward at this point.
I think
I'm
that,
not making the motion to lay it on the table and never revisit it, but I don't think 12 months is unreasonable.
I think it's very
To
unreasonable.
get their feet wet.
I think it's very unreasonable.
I honestly don't think people realize what they're going to lose.
Well, that's what the open discussion and debate will be. You hand out your flyers, someone else hands out their flyers,
Well,
and the people vote on whether they want to keep paying these taxes.
I would need to see what the county would be willing to take over and what the townspeople would lose.
Yeah, and that's what we're asking him to do in the original motion.
And further in that chapter 37 that I gave you, I think you'll find in, let's see here, which section it is. So here in actually 15.2-3701, the agreement shall provide for the transfer to the county of all the revenues the town receives, all services it performs, its facilities, including real and personal property and other assets, including all debts due to the town, and for the assumption by the county of all the town's indebtedness. So essentially everything.
everything.
The county gets all the revenues, all the debts of the town, and in exchange, you know, you become no different than anybody outside of corporation limits. The county takes
Yeah,
everything
don't pay
that the town has, debts included. This is why the agreement part is important, because they have to agree to it. They have to put it to a vote at the board and agree to take on debts and assets of the town.
So I say, what's the problem in finding out what they'll offer us? And then as the first step, if you want to cut it off there, cut it off after that. See what they're going to offer us.
I don't feel that you're willing to cut it off at the first
No, I
step.
don't either.
And the reason I say that is, you know, what year did you originally become a council member? What year did you originally become a council member?
2012?
And at that time, did you come in and talk about this incorporation right off the bat? Because that's kind of what I've been told.
No. What happened is I ran on a platform of we need less taxes and more benefits in a family-friendly town. And that was what I ran on. And then once we lost the water and sewer, we no longer had a discount for the people of the town because the PSA took it over. There's just really no point, no benefit financially to the people who live in the town anymore. So I'd say, let's see what the county offers.
So that's what you ran on this time, but have you ever brought up this incorporation in the past?
Yes, I brought it up to this council, and y'all didn't act on it, so I decided to run.
I wasn't on the, no.
He said
That's,
this
yeah, I brought it up before. Up until November, I don't recall ever seeing you at a meeting that bring it up.
I was here when we had the Zarate shop, and when I spoke on the Zarate shop, I also, well, actually I was here to, I was in favor of annexing the high school. And at that point, I did mention about this incorporation, and I would hope you all would move on that. And when you all did not move on that, I decided I needed to run, because I know the people want this vote. So let's see what the county has to offer. Vote no on the substitute amendment, and vote yes on letting our attorney talk to the county attorney.
So just to
How about
provide,
yes on substitute, leave the substitute and take care of it?
just to provide some
Yeah.
additional insight and input here. The agreement, as I understand, it's not something that's done very often, but the agreements typically are what the code section outlines, which is you all give up everything and in exchange we give you county services, which I understand they now offer trash pickup, water and sewer is already your county services. So the vote that I think Mr. Cawthorn was proposing is that we see what the contract would look like, we get a contract in form, and then we put that to council for a vote.
Yes.
Just to make sure that we're all clear on the legalities of the discussion and the consequences of voting on the motion.
And my substitute is to table it for 1 year.
And we have a second.
Second.
So is there any more final discussion on the substitute motion? Okay, can we have a roll call vote for the substitute motion?
Cawthorn,
No.
Hall,
No,
Kennedy,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Powers.
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay, and the motion has been passed. The next issue on the item on the agenda is the banking resolution. Any discussion or motion?
And just to kind of state, I have a resolution drawn up, but I didn't want to just bring a resolution because somebody all write it in. So the substance of what I think we had as our last resolution is how many signatories we want on the checks, how many people can sign, who's authorized to sign, and then somebody who will actually administer the day-to-day functions of the bank account. So that's what.
I can tell you currently, able to sign are myself, Doris, and Brittany. Once Fayetta left, there was no clerk treasurer to add the mix. Up to that point, we did have clerk treasurer in the mix.
So what is the, what office do you hold?
I'm a total volunteer except council. I just volunteer my time.
So I would make a motion that our clerk, Courtney, our manager, Brittany, and our treasurer, which is Ms. Hamilton, be authorized to sign checks, and that there needs to be 2 signatures on every check that's signed for the town.
There's a motion, is there a second?
And if I may, just, would you like to also add in that who administers the account, or is it just those 3?
Well, it would be
Or do we want to put a single person to administer?
the one who's been here the longest, the manager.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a second?
second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
I think you need a fourth. I Oh, I need a fourth. And I would amend your motion to add doors.
She,
I'm here for everything, so,
I mean, that's
I've
just
been
a council
here.
member.
I've been here since the beginning and fought hard for the town. I mean, I don't care about whether I sign or not, but I like to know where everything's going and we.
Put your name on a lot of stuff,
I've
don't
got
you?
my name on about everything.
You want to submit an amendment?
Yeah, my amendment is to add doors to the list and that we have 4 people that are eligible to sign checks.
There's an amendment, is there a second?
And it still requires 2.
I would second that.
Seconds it. Is there any discussion, further discussion?
I mean, I know we've had just a random council member have check signing abilities before, and, you know, we do have the requirement for 2 people to sign, you know, which means it's not just gonna be one person signing these checks. Lyndon seconded the motion, so it's gonna pass, so let's vote on it.
Clifton, I'm sorry, I need to speak up. That's mother and daughter on checks.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
That's father and son on council.
Yeah.
Okay, out of order. Okay,
That's true.
let's be out
that
of
is
order.
true, it's a mother and father, mother and
Okay,
daughter.
then leave me there.
Then put Libert
The,
on it.
the only reason I
That's
say
fine.
we need 4, okay, so we are women, and we are a hot mess and all over the place. And sometimes it is a task to make sure we've got 2 in the same place at the same time. The other reason I would say that is, as you and I discussed previously, nobody was watching the children. And if you're leaving it to Courtney, Brittany, and Abby, those are the children. They are the paid employees. Still gotta be somebody watching the children.
I would ask that if you make it yourself, and I'm not gonna vote for you to do it, but if you do make it yourself, make it based on the fact Vice Mayor Lieber Kennedy. And that way,
Absolutely.
that is the office, and what that'll be known as is the office that signs checks.
Yeah, and so I'm not proposing that I have to be on the checks. I'm proposing that it be there as a fail-safe.
And I do
Does that
think,
make sense?
I do think that that is a valid concern to have mother and daughter both being able to sign checks.
Yeah.
Not that they would go to the Caribbean or anything on the town account, but I'm just saying,
Doggone it.
I'm just saying that is a
I'm
valid,
gonna take that off of
That
one
is a
of my
valid
accounts
concern.
I signed forever.
so, but I guess the amendment is for Vice Mayor Lieber Kennedy to be added to that list.
Can I say something?
No, not right now, but we will, do it next time in the comments. Just, let's have a vote, and then we'll let the council decide. Then we can have discussion after it's over. Do we have a second to the amendment?
You just have a friendly change to that amendment, Lyndon, so you go Lieber instead of.
Yes.
Instead of me.
Is there a second officially?
I guess that would be my second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we have a roll call vote?
Cawthorn,
No,
Hall, is that a no?
That's a no.
Okay. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
And the motion is passed. Next item on the agenda is other business, which we changed to number 18, Chaplain.
I would like to make a motion that Randy Carter, pastor of the Town Methodist Church, be our town chaplain. What that would involve is getting different people to pray each month, different churches in the area, ministers, and also if anybody on council or in the town has a spiritual need, he would be available for them to go to. I make the motion. Nobody's seconded it yet.
Yes. Is there a second for the motion that has been made?
I'll second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
This way, he does the choosing of pastors to pray in some meetings, which is what it was last time. I know you've prayed a lot at these meetings, but if we get the community ministers involved, that might even be an association. I know you've talked about that before.
Is there any further discussion?
That's a breath.
Do we have a roll call vote?
Cawthorn,
Yes?
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Motion is passed. Next item is 18B, it's personal property taxes.
Facebook
Discussion
page.
or a motion, that's C.
I think
Personal
it's-
property taxes would be, do we have any discussion or motion on that?
Just, I was asking,
I think B was the Facebook page.
yeah, it was.
Well,
I wrote, sorry, I wrote down
That's
differently.
fine.
but-
six, one, half a dozen the other, we've got.
Yeah, we got them both done. So the town of Pound Facebook page, who operates that right now?
There's several people that have access to it.
Okay,
Well,
who?
not several. I have access, Doris has access,
I have access.
Brittany has access. We try to post things as they come in, as quickly, whoever gets it.
So the meeting, like the meeting dates, things like that, would that be on there?
Generally, we have like a blanket post that lists the meetings for, the year. And that's what Miracle's been trying to post on the door as well. I did tell her, don't post this one, with multiples because we don't know if it's gonna change or not.
What's gonna change?
If it was gonna change, the date was gonna change.
Oh. So, what is the policy for censorship on the Facebook page?
We
And
don't,
is there anybody blocked?
no,
Nobody's blocked.
no,
And so, like, if comments taken down, are there any,
not that I'm aware of.
okay, so, Doris,
I will tell you that I got it in dark mode the other day and didn't know how to get it out.
okay.
So, you know, sometimes technology.
So nobody's ever, I mean, of course, if they're cursing or they have sexual stuff, you know, you'd wanna take it off, but just general negative
I-
comments
I
about
don't,
town.
I don't think I think what has been done with those is that they've been putting in a hidden status
Okay,
if there's anything that's not acceptable
okay.
as far as language or.
But there's no, like, censoring or
Not to
censoring?
my knowledge.
Every comment's allowed to be up and unless it's cursing or, and then it goes to a dark mode or something like that. Okay,
That was a
Whatever
hot
it is.
mess.
okay.
Okay, any more discussion on Facebook account? Okay, the next item will go to personal property taxes. Any discussion or motion?
Once again, I don't think I've gotten one in the mail, but some people have been getting personal property taxes in the mail. What is that?
I can go back and look and see if we sent you one. There was
Is that
supposed to be one.
So were they supposed to come out in October and then they're coming out in January? Is that what's going on?
They came out in January because it was gonna be a situation of, after Fayetta left and we had no clerk treasurer, we couldn't send the taxes. We were kinda stuck. That was the whole point of appointing me in October for the interim time period, was to get the tax tickets out. So it was late, having to wait on an appointment with the Commissioner of the Revenue's Office. Going through the disc, what we get is a disc with a list of everybody in a 24279 area code, zip code, sorry. When we had water and sewer, we at least had something to go by as far as determining who's in town and who's not. The list was over 5,000 and nothing to compare it to. I know that there were some accounts in there that they had done the tax ticket on and then marked the accounts inactive. All of them shouldn't have been inactive. You know, it's a weed through process. We did reach out to the TSA to see if they would give us a list of in-town customers, just a list of names. There was a, I think that's something that needs to be discussed with the county to see if they can kind of.
So, just bottom line, these are the personal property taxes that usually come out in October.
They would have come out at the same time of real estate, the second half of the real estate came out. If it hadn't been for the fact that Fayetta was gone, she already had the second half of real estate set up, but the personal property taxes were not.
So,
So rather than, because of the time frame that it was taking us to get in with the Commissioner of Revenue's office, rather than push it and try and have them in December, we made the decision to send them out to be due at the end of this month.
what I'm saying is, and this is the concern people have, because people forget, and they've come to me and said, well, why are we getting personal property taxes? My response was, well, we usually pay them in October, but you forget to pay them. And they say, I don't think so, I'm gonna look at my checkbook. But so we were never charged for the taxes in October.
Correct.
And so we're, okay, but,
Right.
okay. I
Right,
see.
and that was due to.
That's a hard deadline, what, January 31st?
Come down here, they hand it over.
Generally, we don't add interest and penalties right away, to give an opportunity for people to get them in. So,
We usually give, what, 60 days?
I wouldn't give 60, 30, I think is what's.
I mean, when it comes in
advised.
October. It usually comes out in October,
30.
and
30
in
is
December
my
is when they're due.
30 is what I was told, yeah. Give them a 30-day leeway time.
And they came out on,
The 9th of January, I believe, was the print date.
okay. I would make a motion that we extend the due date to February 15th. So it'll be at least 30 days for people to pay.
Per state code, we have to give 2 calendar weeks. That was done. If they're not gonna get a late fee or interest until, right until the 1st of March, why would we extend the date?
Courtesy?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a courtesy.
So let's extend the date to February 15th. That's my motion.
Do we have a second?
So are you saying that after the 15th, you're willing to allow penalties and interest to be added?
Well, what I'm saying is it'll be late after the 15th, but you said you weren't gonna do penalties until March 1st.
Right, so, no,
But this is for them, this isn't for you, you're in the office
it's late after the 31st.
of January.
Right, but if we're not imposing penalties and interest until March 1st, why does it need to be extended?
Well, then why don't we extend it to March 1st?
Why does it need to be
February
extended
28th.
at all? If you're providing that courtesy as just a common courtesy, why does it need to be extended at all?
Why do we even have a date if it's no penalty?
I'm just going by what I was advised of.
So it'd be late after the 15th, penalties start March 1st.
Penalty
Under-
and interest start March 1st.
So I would say let's extend it out to February 15th. Doesn't change anything except people who wanna get in on time are gonna have a little extra wiggle room.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Any further discussion on the motion?
And this is simply the taxes that were not collected in October. So it's not like we're double taxing people, it's just,
No, but
that's
this,
the rumor that.
no, but for
I've had to deal
25, they will get a, personal property for 25. We hope. We did hope.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote on that motion, please?
Hawthorne,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Mullins,
No.
Powers.
Yes.
We got one more. 18D is the FOIA training. Discussion or a motion?
So the FOIA and COIA training should be set up by our lawyer. So what are you looking at to do FOIA and COIA training with council?
How long do you think we can?
Well, it's gotta be done, we just need to set a date and a time
Yeah, I mean, how long does it usually take? So,
to do it.
yeah, have it done.
Hour, maybe 2.
Probably about hour or two, yeah.
So maybe before our next meeting,
Yeah.
February
So I'm
the
assuming.
18th at 5 o'clock?
I'm assuming it's online. You have to sign up for.
No, I guess you're gonna have to talk to Greg.
Okay. 'Cause he was here when you all did that last.
He did,
time.
yeah, he was, yeah.
So that's fine.
Would 5 o'clock on the 18th work?
Okay. Do you have availability at 5 o'clock on the 18th?
Yeah,
what if I'm a few minutes late?
So,
'Cause
so
I
if
don't
you,
know
if you're not good with that date, what are you good with?
That's our council meeting, so.
I thought you wanted it before the next.
No. It'd be before the,
What he's saying is
o'clock.
immediately prior to the council meeting.
I can do it.
I'll just kill one ping pong tournament.
Yeah.
Well,
See, I was thinking of you, right?
That's it, you know, but I keep getting there.
Well,
It's okay.
I might be about 5 minutes late.
That's what you bet, you
I
know,
live, I work uptown, so it won't take, as soon as he closes, I'm out of there.
uptown, you live work uptown.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Is anybody opposed?
And that's at 5 o'clock on the 18th,
5 o'clock.
before you trip.
Anyone opposed? If no one's opposed, the motion passes. The next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Oh, that lady back there, I want
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
that lady back there, I want.
That's public comment. We'll do that after, they can talk to you afterwards.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have the motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second?
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And
I
motion
thought that
passes.
lady back there needed,
You can talk to us now. Now that we're out.
We'll put that on next month's agenda, nobody.
Yes. She can speak. Discuss.
Oh, okay, good.
But we're adjourned.
she ain't gonna think.
Oh,
Now, she's-
well, here.
she's not gonna be-
That's fine.
Three more minutes.
No, it just. Sometimes I can't.
Right here.
Yes.
Good for you.
I'm Sherry Large. I live on 1520 Highland Drive in Tanner. Your council person just called these people, including the town manager, children who needed to be supervised so she could sign checks. Now, do we have children running the town?
No, we don't.
Okay.
No, we don't.
But we do use Facebook.
You know.
Do you have cameras out there at the door?
I don't know, I don't have access to the security. I don't know what's out there.
So if the crowd division person's husband threatened me at the door, you don't have it on camera.
I don't know if it's on camera or not.
Who knows what's going on at Hell House?
So I'm sorry.
We
that
are-
it's
You know
ups-
You can
everything,
fix
so
the
you
police
tell us.
department.
I'm sorry that it's upsetting
I mean,
to you
I-
that I
I-
don't
That's
see
it, just you're
children.
not a part of this
The
town.
reference was because the employees
You
were
and my
overwatched
taxes, let's talk
before,
about that.
Do I?
and it was
Do
just,
I?
just a term.
What taxes do I
They
owe?
just done anything.
But they needed you to sign checks because they're not capable of.
Sherry, I'm
Yeah.
sorry you don't like me, but it's not my problem, you're
Hey,
entitled to
Dolores,
not
do I owe
like me,
back taxes?
but I'm not gonna do the good.
Do I owe back
I'm not
taxes?
talking
I
about
have
you.
no idea.
I'm talking
You're making
about
this stuff up.
the people that are over the table. They're not children.
Well, they're
Or-
doing a great job.
So we need back taxes, I pay my taxes.
So they're doing a great job. We've worked so hard to get this
You owe back
town
taxes,
back.
so you told me right here.
I mean, we absolutely.
I would like to know if there's a camera out there without going to the police department.
No, you owe back
Since
taxes.
it
You asked her.
involves the police
I
department.
paid my tax.
I'll be happy to ask.
He's just trying to get a rile out of us.
He's gonna get it.
No, you got your
Y'all
little
might
stick
come to
right there.
meetings and help out and give us opinion. You know, we can be
What's in this town, Jay?
You know.
I mean, I got threatened at the door when I came in town hall.
Well, what do you want him to do, take some rest?
You're the bankroll in this town. Pay our taxes.
Where's the mayor going?
I'm still here. I'm still here.
I pay these taxes.
Well,
What do you do?
he pays his taxes just like I do.
What has my family done for this town? A whole lot more than you do.
It's not
They
your,
didn't,
it's not your
they
family.
didn't sit on Facebook and run their
It's
mouths.
not your
No,
family.
Crap.
It's you.
We don't pay for it, what they've done.
Hey, Doris,
You need to stick to
did I pay my
Facebook.
taxes on you?
They ought to be on
Well, you keep telling me to take the pound down for me
I'll let
when
him
I'm
do
here.
that right
The
there.
first
You
one
might
in 5
be.
years.
Right.
Well, there it is, my opinion. I make it clear.
And I made mine.
Next time I come, I'll bring a county cop with me.
Well, you go right ahead. I've got Trent Gilmore
What are you doing?
You're gonna need it.
No, I meant to wait now.
You need to stay in your place.
I can't either.
Stay in your
No,
place.
we need to
She
do
usually
something.
don't like this, honestly.
I've got grand on speed dial. It's hurt me a bit to make phone calls. We donate a lot of money to the Wise County Sheriff's Department. Won't hurt a bit.
Tell Cindy, I hope she gets filmed that. I hope they figure out what's going on with her.